started. Okay. I got a couple other polls. I don't know if I have time to type them in. I might just pop them up here and ask you guys. So anyway, welcome to class. Nicole is here. Okay. So I want to do a first poll. Your question, right? About turn-in time. Okay. So we're gonna do a poll right now. Let me see if I got a pen. So Nicole brought up a good question. Like, I have you guys turn in everything at 12:45 p.m. just right before class. 45 p.m. And Nicole was wondering if we could change that and make it like later in the evening or some other time, because she likes to work late at night. And I'm open for that, I don't care. So, what was your suggestion, Nicole? And we'll throw it up here and we'll see how many people agree.
Just like making the turn-in time 11:59.
Okay, so you're saying 11:59 p.m. on the same day, or the day before, or would it be
Yeah,
this day?
if you don't, like, it doesn't matter, it's up to you, because
So
you
I could
would give
do-
us like a whole additional day.
I could do
A half
it this
one.
day, instead of it being due today at 12:45, it would be due tonight
Yeah.
at 11:59.
Yeah.
So that would give you, whatever we cover in class, a little bit more information, to
Yeah.
maybe help you do work. So, so this is on the table right now, so just raise your hand if you're in favor of that. Okay. Alright. Okay, that was easy. Done deal. Okay. So I will change that. It's gonna take me a little while. I have to go through every single assignment and change it. It's gonna take me like an hour manually to do it.
Can't you create a script to do it for you?
Pardon me?
Can't you create a script to change them all at the same time for you?
Yeah. That'd be cool, right? If the thing was running Python, I don't know what the back end is. Yeah. I should log in and let you do it, but no, it's no big. Okay, cool, thank you. I got it. Changes. All right, so we got a couple of polls. The chain comparison here. This is kind of weird looking. So 3. So why is this 3 less than or equal to 11? Okay. Which of these values is false for which of the following values of y? Hey, Karen.
3 isn't greater than 3.
3 isn't greater than 3. Okay, so if we plug in 3 in here, does that make it false? 3 is less than or equal
That makes
to
it
11.
false.
But 3 is not greater than 3. Yeah, it's true. If I put greater than equal, that would work,
That's
right?
true.
Yeah, but the way it is right now, that is false, yeah. 4, that works, right? 4 is greater than 3 and 4 is less than or equal to 11, that works. And 10 works too. Okay, so you guys got it right. All right.
Yeah.
Good. Good. Excellent. Here's my real eraser. Okay.
Could the person that got 11 have gotten their operator flipped?
11 is true. Wait a minute. Oh, they wanted to know which one is false. Yeah, right. Because 11 is true. Yeah. What were you thinking?
I'm not sure, I'd have to write it down.
Okay. Yeah, 11's true. 11's actually true.
Yeah.
Because it's less than or equal. Yeah. Okay, good job. Let me let everybody in here. Admit all. Okay, very good. Yeah, make sure you guys log in. That's the only way I take roll. So if you ever get an email that says, oh, you've been missing class or something like that, it could be my fault for
Maybe if I.
info.
Maybe.
All right, let's, ooh, I don't know if we can see this. Okay, here's the next one here. What about the following statements about which of the following statements about arithmetic operators is false? Yusuf, you're in. These are right out of the quiz. All these questions today are right out of the quiz you're gonna have to take. So you guys are gonna ace that quiz. Okay, did I launch it? Yeah. Yeah, okay. So, which is false? There's a lot of reading here. If both operands are floating point numbers, the result is a floating point. So, if I said 3.2 times 1.5, is the result gonna be a floating point number? Yeah, always. Each arithmetic operator may be used with integers and floating point numbers. Okay, so that's saying this is an operator, well, it's like that. Okay, so can I say 3.2 times 5? Can I do 5 times 5? You know, so can I mix floating points and integers with all these operators, the multiplication, division, addition, subtraction? That's what that's asking. Of course you can. Hang on, let me admit. Yeah. Alright, that's right. And kicks me back out. Expressions containing an integer and a floating point number are mixed type expressions. These always produce an integer. Okay. So these are mixed. Does this always, what's this gonna produce?
Float.
It's gonna produce a float. If there's one float in there, it's gonna produce a float. Okay, so this will be a float.
It's not true if it's even, right?
This will be a float.
Wait.
This will actually be, this might be 25.0.
Oh, really?
Can anybody try it? Does
Okay.
anybody have it open? I think it's gonna be 25.0. I could be wrong. Yeah, I think, yeah, fire up VS Code when you guys get in here. I'm like 90% sure that's gonna say 25.0, let me try. Unless somebody else can get it before me, let's see.
25.
Just 25.
No point oh.
No point oh,
No point oh. Not in VS Code.
alright.
I said print.
Yeah, you're right, you're right.
Okay.
You're right, okay. An integer and a, oh, okay, integer and a floating point number are mixed types. These always produce an integer, okay. That's false. If both operands are integers, the result is an integer except for the true division, which always yields a floating point number. Yeah, that's right. So if I go, what if you do this, 5 divided by 5, try that. That should be 1.0.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys got that right. So this is true, so this is false, yeah. This is the one that's false. It's weird that on these quizzes, they ask a bunch of questions like this. Which one is false? Weird logic. But now you've seen it.
Oh, we did two.
This is right out of the book.
I think that was
Okay, I've got more polls, but I'm gonna share my laptop for a sec.
Yeah, it's a test question.
Okay, see if you guys can see that. Okay, beautiful. I know it's not as big as it could be. Okay, so here's another poll. I'm just gonna ask you guys. I didn't have time to type it in. Triple quoted strings are used to create what? Doc strings, which are the recommended way to document the purposes of certain program components. Multi-line strings, strings containing single or double quotes, or all of the above. Okay, how many people think it's just the first one? The second one. The third one. Okay, this one here, strings containing single or double quotes. How many think all of the above? Nobody? Okay. It's all the above.
Oh,
It's all the above. Okay, remember what doc strings are? Like 3 double quotes? And then you could put a bunch of stuff in here.
Strings, stock strings, or what else?
But you could also, and this is called the doc string. I don't know if you guys remember when I put it inside of a function, you could print that out. You guys remember that? If I don't want to get into functions yet because it's too early, but if you created a function and you put the doc string there, you could print the function. You could say print, and then the function name, I think ours was print hello. We named our function print hello. And then we did like dot underscore underscore doc underscore underscore. And that printed out the doc string that described that function. Okay. So you could also put triple quotes, and then you could have something like there's a double quote. Like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So there's our triple quoted string that has a single quote and a double quote in it, right? But you could also use a triple quoted string to say one line, another line, and end it right there. So that would give you a multi-line string. Multi-line string. So that's all the above. Okay, so number 4. So does everybody understand number 3 then? Does that make sense? If you see that on the quiz, you'll know the answer. Okay, number 4. Which of the statements A, B, or C is false? Python is case insensitive, so number and then number with a capital N are the same identifiers, despite the fact that one begins with a lowercase letter and the other begins with an uppercase. How many people think that's false? All right, so automatically you know that's the answer, right? Because the only other option is all the above are true, and you know that's not true. Each identifier may consist of letters, digits, and underscores, but may not begin with a letter. I mean, with a digit. You know that's true. And a variable name, it's also an identifier, such as X is an identifier. So when I say variable name, you could also use the word identifier, okay, to talk about that. So these are right out of the quiz you're gonna have to take, I think, February 20th,
Yeah.
which would probably be next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Today's the 15th, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, let me make this a little bigger and go over the topics that we're going to talk about today. Let me put some blanks in here. It's a little bit bigger for you guys. Oh, okay. And let me move this along. We'll see if we can cover all these today. Maybe not. We might not get to them. Okay, first thing I wanted to show you guys was, this is kind of off topic, but it's still part of the class. If I pull up the online book, let's see if I have it here somewhere. Not there, over here. Okay, here's the online book. And do you see, so I don't know if I can make this bigger. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Somebody brought this up. I'm looking at the online book, right? That's free. And you see this little thing down here. It says 25 hours, 40 minutes remaining. What does that mean? Does that mean that's all the time you've got left?
That's the estimated time to complete the entirety of the book.
Yeah. That tells you how far you've gone through the book. It doesn't mean it's gonna expire in 25 hours. Okay, so I didn't know that. I didn't know that before, I know it now. Okay, so don't worry if you see that. And what was my other? Oh, okay. In VS Code, you can change the way it looks, the color scheme. If you type Control K and Control T down in the terminal window, let me make this bigger for you. So you guys are still seeing that, right? Okay. So if I'm in the terminal window, it's active. If I push Control K and then Control T, I get this select color thing, and I can go up here and change it to light. Then it looks like that.
Bad.
Okay. Control K, Control T. And the reason I wanted to show you guys that is, do you prefer this? Is this easier to read than the other way I was doing? Than with the dark thing? I'd say so. How many people think this is easier to read? Okay. A few. Okay. Let's go back to the dark and see what you think. I think it defaults to the dark one. Let's see. and it
You
was-
stare at code for a long time, it light's a little hard on your eyes.
I think this is the one that,
It's the first one.
this is the one that it defaults to. So how many people think this one's easy to read? Okay, looks like you guys win, actually. Okay, we'll keep it this way. I like this myself. It's kind of like a DOS window. It's all black and it's got white letters. You can even get in there and change the color of the text and stuff like that in the fonts if you want. All right, cool. Okay, so that's Control K, Control T. You guys can change your own. And this is what we're going to try to cover today. I need to bring a pointer. Why I don't have one? I keep forgetting. I think I have. I should go over to the little, whatever, the center that has all this stuff. Grab it. So we're going to try to cover what we call IPO today, which means input, processing, and output. Then we're going to look at the various forms of if-then statements. We have an if-then, an if-then else, and then an if, elif, whole bunch of those, and then ending with an else. We're going to try to look at Boolean logic, which are the three Boolean operators, and, or not. We're going to look at while loops and for loops. I don't know if we're going to get through all this today. This is a lot of stuff. Formatted print. I think we've seen that already. And what we call augmented assignment. I don't think I've gone over this at all. Does this look familiar to you guys? Have I gone over like a plus equal or a minus equal? I don't think I've covered it yet. And then right alignment when you print. If you want something to align to the right side versus the left side, like a number, this is the way you do it. So that's what we're going to try to cover. Then I've got an in-class activity for us, and then I've got 5 groups with relatively easy assignments today, which I think are relatively easy. And that'll be it for today. Okay. We are ahead of where we should be in the book. Okay. So we're a little bit ahead. Don't worry though. So I'll make sure you guys understand everything you're supposed to for this class. All right. Everybody's doing well in here. You guys got my email that I sent out about there was something screwed up with the D2L shell. Was it this class or the other? I think it was this one too. Yeah, where you couldn't post because it was set up for me, the instructor, to approve every single post as it came. Who set that up? Am I gonna sit there all day waiting for somebody to post and say, I approve it? I'm like, that's ridiculous. So I changed it. You know, we've never done that before, but this is a new course, a different shell. So anyway, you can, for the assignment that's due, whenever it's due, that everything should work. So basically, you gotta do the interview questions. You have to record yourself or video yourself. Have somebody ask you the questions, or you could ask them to yourself and answer them like you're doing a job interview. Okay, it's good for you guys to have these interviews because you're gonna be going on lots of job interviews in your life. And the more times you do it, the better and the more adept you'll be at doing it. Like I've been in so many job interviews in my career, it's like crazy. I don't even get nervous when I go to a job interview. I mean, I don't even go to job interviews anymore, but, you know, and I've been on job interviews on the other side, on a lot of them when I was at the county. I was one of the interviewers. It's good to do that. The more interviews you go to, the better you get at it, the more at ease you are. And most of the time people, when they hire somebody, it's not about what you know, it's about how you're gonna fit in with the group. You know, if you take two people that both know the same thing, you know, hey, you're really good at Python, you're really good at Python, who's gonna fit in with our group the best, right? Who's gonna be easy to work with? Who's gonna show up on time? You know, who's not gonna be a pain, right? They look at stuff like that, right? So anyway, the interview questions, go ahead and do those, submit them, and then you have to look at somebody else's interview question and comment on that with some constructive criticism. Hey. All right, so let's look at IPO charts very briefly, or the word IPO. It doesn't stand for initial public offering, which is what it kind of sounds like, right? So IPO. So it stands for input, processing, and output. Okay. And this is what most computer programs do, like 90% of them. The first part is you get input from the user, some kind of input. Then you do some kind of processing on it. You might add some numbers, you might do some math, you might, you know, set some variables, and then you're gonna output at the end. So that's what that means. So when I used to teach this class before, with the old book, we spent a lot of time on these IPO charts, they call them. So let's say we have my input over here, and the way you draw these is just like this. You'll just say input, and you can put a line here. And you can say processing. And you can say output here. Okay. So suppose we have a program that reads in, let's try miles per gallon. So the input would be how much gas. So you could say gallons of gas. That's my input, right? And also miles driven. So you want to calculate how many miles per gallon you got, right? Between your last fill up and this one, right? So you're looking at your odometer when you started, when you first filled up, and you hopefully you've written that down somewhere. And say you drove 100 miles. Okay? So these are your inputs. Let's just say this is 100 miles, and I put in let's say 4.2 gallons of gas, and I drove 100. Okay, so those are my two inputs. Now, how do I process this? Miles per gallon. So I want miles per gallon, right? So I could say miles per gallon. There's a camel case variable equals miles driven divided by gallons of gas, right? So that's my processing. So that is 100 divided by 4.2. Somebody want to do that for me? Oh, let's see, what would it be? Anybody plug that in? It's gonna be like 23, I wanna say, something like that.
23.809.
Okay, and the output is print, or what we would say in pseudocode is display miles per gallon. Okay, so there's what we call an IPO chart. You could call it a chart, I guess. And this is a good way to break down your program sometimes if you're having problems following the logic. It's like, wait, I want to write down my program before I write it. I'm going to draw this chart and say, what are my inputs? What kind of processing am I going to do? And then what am I going to output to the user? Okay. So that's what IPO means. This is a very simple example of an IPO chart. Any questions about that? So your program, lab number 3, I think, is going to be something. I'm going to scroll up for a second. Hang on a second, guys. Let's see. Your lab number 3 is you're going to design a program that asks the user for the number of coffee and muffins they are purchasing, and you know the price of a cup of coffee is $5 and the price of a muffin is $4. You're going to calculate the tax, and then you're going to output so this is what your input's going to look like. You're going to prompt the user, and then the output's going to look like this. Right? So this is exactly what we just looked at. So let's look at this for a second. So somebody tell me what, if I'm looking at this coffee program, we'll make a new IPO chart right here. Hopefully you guys in the back can see this. Or should I do it on this side? Let's do it on the other side, so it won't be so low. You guys tell me what the input, processing, and output is. For this program here, okay? So, what is the input? What are we asking the user to input?
An integer.
Number
Number of coffee.
coffee. So what would be a good variable name? What would be a good name to come up with for that variable?
NBR of muffins.
NBR.
Capital of. Capital O F.
Oh, number of coffee, like that.
Oh, not muffins. Sorry, coffee. Never mind.
Okay,
Okay, you're
that's
asking
good.
for muffins.
Number of coffees.
Number of coffees.
Maybe something like that. And then what else are we asking them to put in? Number of muffins, right? They want to buy. So we could say NBR of muffins. So these are good variable names. They're camel case and they're easy to read. Okay. So any other inputs? So this is a good question here. Like, this is I would say $5 and $4 and 6% should be constants. Where the user's not going to input those. Those are going to be built in. Okay, so those are going to be in here as constants. Okay, so I think this is all we're going to input. So let's make a constant for the price of coffee. And constants we put all in caps, so what would be a good name for price of coffee? All in caps, anybody?
Coffee price.
Price?
Well, there are more than one price, right?
No, coffee's $5, right?
Coffee's $5.
So I would just say price coffee, like that. This is what I would do. Equals 5. So that's a constant, and then what else do we want? Price muffin. God, it looks like my name. Price muffin, okay. Muffin equals $4, right? And then the tax is 6%. So I would just say tax equals 6. Okay, so these are constants, they're not gonna change. So what type of processing are we gonna do here to come up with the total that they spent? Okay, so first we gotta calculate a subtotal. So what's the subtotal? I would say, I would just create a variable called subtotal. Total. What's a subtotal?
Before tax, what is it?
It's the number of coffees times the price of coffee, right?
Yeah, plus.
Number of coffees times price of coffee. So this is the beauty. It seems like, why don't I just put the numbers in there? Coffee.
Because you'll have to do it every time until you program it to do it itself.
Right. This is why, if I do it this way, and I wanna change the price of coffee, I only have to change it in one spot throughout my whole program. That's why I don't just stick the number 5 in here. You never wanna put numbers, raw numbers inside your program. You wanna assign them to a constant. It's a little more work, but it pays off. So that's the number of coffees times the price per coffee plus number of muffins times the price muffin. Okay? I know I didn't write this all on one line, but this gives me the subtotal. Okay? So now we're doing the processing. There's a little bit more to do now. Calculate 6% tax on the subtotal. So how do I do that?
I think that it should be 0.06. Might that be easier to work with if tax equals 0.06?
You could do that.
And then you can multiply the tax.
Yep. We could do that if you want, 0.06. Yeah. Okay?
Or multiply it by it and then you'd have to add it, okay.
Yeah, yeah. We could say, we could create a new variable called it, we could say tax of subtotal equals subtotal times tax, right? Right, that's 0.06.
Okay, we don't just want to make a total?
And then we can say grand total, we'll call it grand total,
Okay.
equals tax of subtotal. You do it this way. There's a couple ways you can do this. Total plus tax of subtotal plus subtotal. Right? And that gives me my grand
Okay.
total. And then I'm gonna output and then you're just gonna output it the way that they want it here. That should be all the processing we do. Okay, so there's my receipt. So then I'm gonna display all the stuff that they're saying here. You know, 1 coffee, so that would be number of copies. change this display to print, this is pseudocode. Number of copies at $5, so this is price coffee.
Oh.
I'm just putting the variables in here. Each, and then a colon, and then this would be, oh, I see what they're doing. So I could create I guess I could have created I could have created I could have created a coffee subtotal
Yeah.
and a muffin subtotal. What am I doing? I should look at this a little closer. Muffin subtotal equals number of muffins. So then I could say this would be coffee subtotal.
Or for me, subtotal was about to be number of coffees times price coffee plus number of muffins times price muffin.
Right. That, we could do it either way, but since they want it to be broken down, like this, an output here, they want us to say, we got one coffee at $5, so that's 5, that's our coffee subtotal. And then 2 muffins at 4, 2 times 4 is 8. So now we can use these individuals. And so we need to say, now we would say, we'd add one more in here. Subtotal equals coffee subtotal plus muffin subtotal. Okay, so we're going to display this and then display the muffins, kind of same thing. Number of muffins at price per muffin. Muffin each, and then this would be the muffin subtotal. And then they're saying 6% tax, so here we could say tax times 100, right? Plus percent sign, display. 6% tax, percent tax, space tax, colon. And then this is, oh, dollar sign, space, dollar sign. And then here we would put our tax of subtotal.
Is display actually a function
No.
in Python? No,
No,
this is pseudocode now.
It's a pseudocode subtotal. So that would do that, and then here we would say total display total colon dollar sign. And this would be grand total. Okay, so in pseudocode, we haven't got into that a lot. You guys are lucky that we used to spend a lot of time on pseudocode in the old class. I think it's a little overemphasized. So display is the same as print. Display means print in Python. So if I say display, you're gonna use the print function. Okay? If I say input number of copies, input muffins, this is the same as you guys saying, if I say input oops, right, that's the right way. Number
Bless you.
of copies, zoom tight. this would be the same as number of coffees equals int, this is the way I would do it, input, enter number of copies. Sorry, I'm writing small now. Okay. So if you guys take a, so this is basically breaking down your assignment into an IPO chart.
Okay.
And it's kind of easier to start like this. And now you've got all the code, you just need to put it together.
Are IPO charts a common practice?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Yep. You don't have to do that, you can just start coding it on your own.
But it helps make objectives clear.
Yeah, I mean, now, I've got all my code now, I know exactly what I'm gonna do to write this program, right? And these constants, now, suppose, so you see I've used price coffee, price muffin, tax, all in uppercase. These are constants, so say I wanna change the tax changes, 5%. I just have to change it in one place, right here. And the whole thing works. Because I've used that uppercase tax right here. That's only used one place actually, right here too. So you only have, it's better to use constants instead of, you wouldn't wanna just put, you wouldn't wanna plug in 0.06 right there. That's bad programming. Because you'd have to look throughout your whole program if the tax changes and find out every place you put 0.06. Okay. So it's better to use the name. So I know I covered a lot right there. Are you guys following? Does anybody have any questions about any of that?
Until I try to execute.
So if you understand what's been done up there, you should be able to write your lab relatively easily, okay?
I see some of the variables have the camel case and some don't. Is that really just a preference thing, or does it really matter?
Yeah, I mean, I might have, in my haste, not done them all right. Which ones don't? Oh, like this one here?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that one is just a,
Yeah, you're right, I should have written this with a lowercase c.
I didn't know if that like affects it or not.
No, I mean, when you start to write it, you'll know, you guys have already found out, if you don't spell them the same, it gives you an error, so. I probably screwed this up, this should have been a lowercase m. Yeah, you get the idea though, make sure that whatever you name it, here, under copies, this is the same, otherwise you'll get an error. Once you mix your variable, if you start mixing your variable names, you guys have already found out, if you type them wrong, or one's a cap, one's not, big complaint. So IPO, input, processing, output, and there you go. Then you just have to, basically, you're just gonna kind of rewrite this like this. You're gonna say, you know, enter the number of copies, they're gonna enter it, you're gonna have another line that says input the number of muffins. Where's my, let me scroll up a little bit here. Where's my mouse? Come here. So you're gonna, oh, okay. All you do is print out number of copies bought. So this would say number of copies bought here. If you really wanted to do it right. Of copies, run out of space here.
Do I need to indent for an if?
Yes.
Thank you.
Is there a question? No question? So you're gonna, you're gonna start out, put your name at the top, all this in comments, and then you're gonna start with your inputs first. You gotta get your inputs first, then you're gonna do your processing, and then you're gonna do your output. So this will be at the top, this will be next, and this will be last. So it's just input, processing, output. Okay. Top to bottom. I know we're not gonna get to everything today. Barely got through IPO. But this is good because this is gonna help you with your assignment. All right, any questions? I think we can cover one more topic and then take a break. So you guys got this part down? I think?
The idea of it.
Okay, let's get up to,
Oh,
You know, you look at it and yes, I don't think you know this one.
if that's,
okay, no.
Yes, because you know, that top is really nice. You know, so it doesn't have the top part. I think what we did all this stuff was on the top. I think when you run.
I guess your video captures all this stuff, right, Tim?
It doesn't do that. It doesn't.
Even way over to here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, good. So I can just always erase that.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Yeah.
Okay, let's revisit if, decision-making structures. We call these decisions, structures. Okay, and those are if-then. So, let's just look at the if-then. There's 3 different ones here. And you're gonna be doing this as your group exercise later. So, if-then is simply, we could set a variable, say x is 10, and we could say if x is less than 20, for example, then we put a colon. That colon kind of means the then. Think of that as the word then. Then we indent and we do something, some kind of a statement. And we can have multiple statements, all indented. And let's just say we're gonna print hello, I don't know, anything you want, okay? So this is as simple as it
Bless
gets. Okay. This is as simple as it gets, an if-then. If-then. There's no else if, okay? It's as simple as it gets. What is this thing in here called? I heard somebody say a word that started with a B.
Boolean?
Boolean expression.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this little thing in here, x less than 20, is called a Boolean. Boolean expression. And what do Boolean expressions evaluate to?
True.
True or false? Okay. Good. True or false? Okay. If it's true, it executes the statements that are indented underneath it. If it's false, it jumps back down and say, this is our flush left right here. We're all the way to the left. And then I can say print, done, whatever. So if this is true, it executes this. If it's false, it doesn't even do these. It jumps right down and keeps executing below the if-then. Okay? So what's it gonna do right now? Is this true or false? Is 10 less than 20?
True.
True. Okay, so it's gonna print hello, and then it's gonna print done. So it's gonna print hello, then done, on 2 different lines. Hello, then done. So let's make this 20. Is 20 less than 20? False. So it's just gonna look at this and say, that's false. I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna jump out and go down here and just print done. Okay. So that's how an if-then The simplest one works, if then. So let's look at an if then else. I'll do it over here. Hope you guys got this. Can I erase? This is pretty much your, this is just wrote with your guys' help. 80% is done for you right there of your assignment. The logic of it, at least, you'll have to put it in all in Python. Okay, so let's look at an if then else. If then else. Okay, so let's say x is 10, and we say if x is less than 20, there's our then. This is our Boolean expression again. Then we're going to indent and we're going to print. Let's do it like this. We'll say x is less than 20. Now this is real Python code I'm writing now. So if this is true, we're going to print that. Else, we line that up with the if. Else, and you have to have a colon there, and another indent. Then we're going to print x is not less than 20. Okay, so this is what they call an if then else. So it's going to do two things. It's either going to do this one or this one. It doesn't do both. It never does both. It does one or the other. Okay, in this case, it's going to print this, right? Because 10 is less than 20. Right, so it's going to print, this is going to print 10 is less than 20. What if I change it to 20? Is 20 less than 20? No, so it jumps down here, and it's going to say 20 is not less than 20. So it either does one or the other. If then else. Make sense? No questions? Okay, let's look at the very last. I'll give you guys a break. So let's look at the if, elif, a whole bunch of elifs, and then a final else. Okay, so let's say x is 10 again, and we'll say if x is less than 20, then we're going to do something. We're going to print x, or let's do it this way. X, we'll just put the variable in there. Not a formatted print yet. Is less than 20. Okay, so we did that. Or we could say elif colon indent. Or no, we could say elif x is less than 10 indent print x is less than 10. Elif, this means else if. Elif means it's combining the word else space if. Two words. Elif x is less than 5, we're going to print x is less than 5. Remember, it only does one. Else, indent, print. At this point, we could say, if it's less than 20, it prints that. Okay, it only does the first one. Okay, it doesn't, once it executes one, it doesn't even look at the rest of these. Okay, so if x is 10, it's going to print this very first one. Okay, I think I set this up wrong, because it's not ever gonna be, it's never gonna get to these other ones, the way I set it up. Okay? I need to reverse this. Sorry, guys. I know you were probably writing this down. See, can you see why it's never gonna get to, it's never gonna get to any of these other ones?
It needs to be greater than the first.
We could change it to greater than, yeah, we could change it to greater than.
I'm saying the following.
Yeah, we could or we could change these, I'm gonna do it the other way, I'm gonna change these, I'm gonna change this to 5. And that to 10, and this to 20. And I'll change this to 5. So now we can, we'll be able to see what it's doing, and this is 20, okay. All right, so suppose x is 10. Is x less than 5? No, so we jump down to here. Is x less than 10?
False.
False, jump down to here. Is x less than 20? Yes, we print x is less than 20. Else, we could say x is not less than 20. So it jumps down, it looks at the first one. If that's not true, looks at the next Boolean expression. If that's not true, it looks at the next one. Else, the very last thing, if all these fail, that's false, 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 then we do this no matter what. So else has to live at the end all by itself. There can only be one else. You can't put another else down here. That's a no-no. So that you can have a whole bunch of elifs and one else at the very end. Okay. So let's look at one more example. Let's change this number just to something else and try it. So let's say, let's try to get it to find the first, to execute the first one. We could say x is 4. Okay? Is 4 less than 5?
Yeah.
Yep. We print that, we're done. We jump all the way down to whatever is down here. And just say we're done. Okay? So that would print this one. If we said 7, is x less than 5? 7 less than 5? No.
No.
Is 7 less than 10? Then we'll print this one. Okay? And then let's pick a number between 10 and 20, like 15. This is false. This is false. This is true. Then we'll print this one. And then let's make a big number like 20. Is 20 less than 5? No. Is 20 less than 10? No. Is 20 less than 20? No. Then we say 20 is not less than 20. So we've changed it to where we can actually execute every one of the elifs. So there you have the simple if-then, the if-then else, and then the if-elif sequences. Okay. And yeah, this took me longer than I thought. So take a break, come back.